Hi there. How, how are you? Welcome to Worldwide Ramblings for a Saturday night, the 14th of October, 2023. Hello, replay audience, if you're watching via replay. For those of you watching in real time, you're invited to check in and let us know who you are, where you're from, and what's on your mind. We always welcome your topics, your questions and comments, and what have you. Most of you know to keep it respectful, and your response determines, well, the very future of the program, the very length of the program, although, of course, we put a cap on it at some point when my voice is worn out. Um, Getting over a head cold, feeling pretty good, though, and glad to be with you. Our topic tonight, we're going to lead off. Not going to make you wait oodles of minutes. It's coming right up. Just going to say hello to a few people inside Graceland, and a little bit later on, we'll do the weekend review, what a week it's been, and whatever else comes up. Maybe something you say will spur me, and maybe I won't comment at all if I don't have anything on it. Well, hello, Jimmy, maybe. How are you? Glad you're here. Susie Young, that's Susie Q. Good afternoon, Mr. Jack. I forget where you are to be saying good afternoon. You're not in Aussie land, I don't think. Are you? Because it's kind of afternoon around those ways. If so, put another shrimp on the Barbie for me, will you? Paul McCreary, not Paul McCartney, is here. Hello, Mr. Jack. Pam Donnelly, hello from Indiana wants me. Lord, I can't go back there. R. Dean Taylor land. Hi, Pam. Glad you're here. Brenda is here. Noise. Hello, Jack and family. Jean Phillips. She's happier with the early time slot. Uh, from the great state of Massachusetts. and Jean is happy with the 10 o'clock time. I guess if there's any change here, I'm not going to nail down Saturday nights as the time for worldwide ramblings, but I will always do a promo as to when it's coming up. Hopefully, the day before we're going to do a live worldwide ramblings. I got a bunch of shifts coming up next week, which will go into the second week with the 94-year-old gentleman that I take care of from time to time, and six in a row, I think, and that's great. Always fun being with him, and it certainly helps me out because this is not paying the bills. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I shoot myself in the foot, but I feel better that I did it. Um, let's see. So now the pop on to pop off, that can happen at any time. That's why be sure to subscribe, like if you like. Hit the like button if you like something at some point. Not asking you to do it until you like something, and also hit the notification bell so you'll get notification when we pop on live, for example. Can be any time. We tried one at 2 in the morning once, and we got two people, but one was a nurse that was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. She could be working right now. I don't know. She works some weekend shifts. They usually rotate that. So uh I was just curious to see who would be on at that time. Actually, it's 10 p.m. here. I thought so. Yeah. Paul says, I think I'm going to change my name. Well, I like saying Paul McCrary, not Paul McCartney. That kind of gives you an identity. If you have a better choice, if you can think of something, go for it. But it's gotta flow off my tongue. Susie Fenner is here. Hi, Jack. Haven't heard from you in a while, Susie. She says at times too, Miss LaRue, and welcome to you, Sue. Brenda says, boy, Jack, it's cold as hell. Well, it's not cold in hell, Brenda. No, you you don't need a jacket if you're going to hell, and I wouldn't suggest you go there. I would prevent it at any cost. You need an asbestos suit. Okay, you'll say I'll get sick from the asbestos. It's true, but it's still got to be better than not having one. So, welcome, 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 everybody. Some people will not remember that we're starting at 10 and start come in at 11 and say, "Well, I missed an hour," but I do uh, try to do the promo the day before, but I realize this doesn't revolve around everybody's life. I get that. I get that. So that's why we have the replay crowd, which is always bigger. And, we need a certain number. We need a certain number. So tell your friends, tell your enemies. The Bible says pray for our enemies, and that's tough to do in a time like this, but it certainly is the call of God. Um, you were watching when you pop when I popped on that night? Yeah. Um, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Hello, Molly Van Sickle. Hi, y'all. Howdy. Welcome, Molly, from Van Sickle Shoes. I know you knew I was going to say that. It's just such, it's fond kid memories that you're bringing back, Molly. Uh, Not Molly Shannon, not Molly Ringwald. Remember her? Who else do we know that's famous, Molly? Don't tell me I'm going to sneeze on air. I'm starting to feel like that's a possibility. Molly Van Sickle, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, Going to start off with a little Graceland for you because I don't want. There are people that tune in, see the title, and they get antsy. So, I do want to tell you quickly about something that's going to, I think, be happening with YouTube starting in November. No more clicking past the ads. No more. I wonder how that's going to affect things. I don't think they're going to have. Obviously, there are some ads that are not ads, but they're programs that you can click out of in a certain amount of seconds. I don't think that would be unclickable. But if it's the great thing is in my pre-recorded videos when they roll in the 15-second spots because I think people watch them the most. But if I'm reading the notification I got starting in November, you won't be able to click past ads, okay? And I'm not going uh, YouTube Premium, so just to let you know, anti-row. Graceland is a mansion of 13.8 acres. Did you know that? I didn't think it was anywhere near that. I thought that was a misprint. 13.8 acres. And it's located at 3764 Elvis Presley Boulevard in Memphis, Tennessee. I think that street used to be called something else, right? But it got renamed. It did, I believe, in the 50s. And it's in I love this, the White Haven neighborhood. The White Haven neighborhood. It was open to the public as a house museum in 1982 and attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors each year. The tally used to be somewhere around 650,000. I'm guessing it's increasing. And isn't that something? The original owner was S.C. Toof and Company, the oldest commercial printing company in Memphis. Um, Graceland was built in 1939. 1939. And it was Elvis, after he started getting money from the record company and the first concerts, who gave his dad a $100,000 a budget to buy a house where they could all live. And Vernon came close to budget. He did go over, but not too much. Graceland was bought by Vernon Presley um, in 1957 for 102,500. And as I say, Elvis gave his father the money, and he lived there, and other people moved in as well. And then once Elvis became the proprietor, the official proprietor. He had people that stayed there from time to time, and also a guest house where people stayed at Graceland. These days, the sole proprietor is the granddaughter of Elvis Presley. That's Riley Keough. Some kind of an arrangement has been worked out with Priscilla, they say. that was ongoing for a long time. But Riley, an actress, a producer, and what have you, produces content. She is making changes, renovating some things without, hurting the style. If you if you change the furniture and the carpet and everything, people, say, "Oh, that shag carpet," but that was the bomb, you know? It wasn't obviously the bomb in 1957, but Elvis installed it, had it installed. I don't think Elvis was down on the floor with a knife, and, I don't think that happened, but he made it look like a hip '70s pad. What can I tell you? That's what you would do. We'll show you some pictures in just a bit, upstairs and downstairs, just a few pictures, but I didn't have time to get them to Google Prints. And you know me, trying to do live editing would be like me trying to perform heart surgery on you. You wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want it. Deborah Miller, you wouldn't want it. Good evening from Beef Wellington, Florida, where there's always a delicious smell of meat in the air. But that could be because Hannibal Lecter moved next door. I don't know. I don't know. Hi, Brenda. I mean, Deborah. Brenda's name uh, was right there next to you. Charlotte is here as well from Missouri. Yeah. Hey, hey, lonely girl, make me. I can't forget. I'm forgetting the lyrics to Eddie Holman's song. Everybody, that's a scary thing. Just proof that I'm that much closer to being tied to a chair in front of the nurse's station with an alarm. Melissa VD is here. Hello, Jack and all. I'm glad you're here, Melissa. As we already said hello to Molly and gang, and whatever's on your thought pattern, pull something out and let us know what's going on with you. We're going to do the weekend review in a little bit, and but we'll respond to uh, anything that seems plausible. I'm not talking about necrophilia. I'm telling you right now. What was that song by Alice Cooper? The lyrics to Alice Cooper, who wrote Cold Ethel and put it on one of his albums, was read verbatim on the 700 Club by Pat Roberts. Now, I don't know if Alice Cooper had become a born again Christian yet at that point. I know he is now. I know he's a strong man of faith now. He plays Alice as a character, but he stands up for his faith. He stands up for what's right in terms of the future of our country, and he doesn't wear the makeup unless he's going on stage. And he says the day he can't go out there and present Alice with all full strength that the fans are expecting is the day he won't do Alice anymore. And he's 75 years old right now. Well, I'm glad to see you, Dennis from Boston. Hello, Jack and family. We have someone else here from the great state of Massachusetts as well. I hope I get to visit Boston again. We haven't been able to stop on our most recent vacations, but there's more to see for us in uh, Boston. Alice is a goof man. Well, he doesn't do some of the more outrageous stuff he might have done on stage in the past. I think was it one of the members of Kiss? Was it Gene that bit the head off a bat? Or that was Ozzy, right? That was Ozzy. So Alice is, he's a whole other serious side of him, Paul. And by playing this character on stage, he puts himself in prison. He's so beloved that he doesn't have to, go along with anything. See, he can't sing those two ballads like You and Me and Only Women Bleed, because that would not be in character for, the guy who sings all those great rock and roll songs like Hello, Hooray. What a great opening song that is. I assume he uses it sometimes. And yeah, he is a good man. He's a good man that he lost a ton of money. Now, what was that company that hired him to to? It's a fairly recent story. They hired him to endorse their product, their scary perceived product, whatever. And then he made some statements about, that a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. You can't change that. And that he was very worried about impressionable kids having surgeries, which they shouldn't be, in my book, allowed to do till they're 18 and can, then make your decision. But of course, if you make it at 10 or 12 years old, you're likely going to regret that. And of course, the idea that the parents have no say and all that, it's a world insane. Um, Judy is here, is she? I see the name Judy. Judy is here somewhere. And welcome, Judy. Welcome. So, a friend of ours, a friend of Karen's, went to Graceland very recently and took some pictures. There's a couple of pictures of her in it, and I don't feel right sharing that. I didn't ask permission to do that. Um, but I'll even show you Buddy the cat, the latest picture of Buddy the cat, perhaps. And Catherine Lee Scott, I'll give her a little promo because she's coming up next weekend from Dark Shadows. She'll be at Lyndhurst Mansion with Marie Wallace, who played Jenny, who played Megan, and her first character was Eve, and her husband was to be. Anybody want to guess what his name was? What was Eve's husband? They were manufactured in a lab. Yes, of course, Adam. And it was very much in the Frankenstein vein, and that's why one of the Dark Shadows writers was talking to somebody in the industry back in those days, and he uh, he was told by this guy, "You don't have a staff of writers on Dark Shadows. You have a den of thieves." They did borrow a lot. They did borrow a lot, but I guess one of the things now, am I right about this? Riley is, and I don't know how long this has been going on. See, I've never been to Graceland, to be honest. Um, One of the things you can do now is you can go upstairs. You can't walk into the room, but you can take a look see, which I think is an excellent thing because people want to see that. Now, this is not for honey cakes. All right, if you're watching honey cakes and not signing in or whatever, um, you don't like the phone. I could not get this to Google Photos, so I need time, and I wanted to do this tonight. So she doesn't like the phone being held to camera. I get that. I wish I could roll it in. I wish I was Ben Shapiro or Candace Owens, and I had a full crew behind me, and they were doing all that, and I was just working on my performance, that kind of thing. But I don't have that. It's just me. I mean, Red Bear's way over there in the other room, but to try to roll it in real time, we have not reached that bridge yet. It's a bridge too far. It's a bridge too far, and we're from Eastport, Maine. Eastport, Maine. Beautiful homes in Eastport, Maine. Problem is, not much else. They're for sale. You can get one. You can get one. I've been to Eastport, Maine. Yes. And on the way into Eastport from, say, Calais, Maine, or Calais is the nice way to say it, um, there used to be a place called the Friendly Restaurant that we would visit. This goes back, not this relationship, it goes back one. And the Friendly Restaurant was not Friendlies. It was a friendly restaurant, but they had those delicious. They had great cod, fish, beer batter fish. They had homemade chocolate cream pie and stuff. Oh yeah, so it's been a problem for me. So hold it up like that, and at night it's worse because we have more lights, and I'll put it here too to see if that's any better. Eventually, I find a sweet spot or a sweeter spot, and there it is right there. But I know, honey cakes, it won't be for you. It's time for you to mow the lawn, then come back and join us. All right. Um, so that was cool. And for the first time, I saw this for the first time. one of the bedrooms, if not the master bedroom. I'm not sure. Uh, Purple bedspread. Love it. Love it. Again, you can find these pictures in other places, I'm sure. I'm just running through these real quick, and we'll try it here too. For a long time, you couldn't see these pictures, right? You couldn't visit the second floor. I'm told. I'm told. The staircase, picture of Elvis on the left. Pretty cool, huh? Now, see right there, for me, that looks pretty good. Now, see right there, for me, that looks pretty good. And I thought we had some good ones in the video uh, that she was saying she couldn't see the pictures. Kitchen. And this just makes me want to go more, see it for myself, be there in person. I think this is where the Memphis Boys used to hang out. I think the Memphis Mafia and the King of Rock and Roll. Love leather couches, always did. Of course, outside the grave with the middle name misspelled. The middle name spelled. There was no flag on the coffin. The main insurance policy, there were more than one life insurance policy, was never cashed in, never redeemed. That's the information that we have. That's the best information from several sources that we have. It's been made public, of course. And all those gold records, huh? All those gold records right there. Yeah. A wall of gold. So some memories from Graceland. I didn't save it for too long, I hope. Well, my goodness, the 18-wheeler man himself, Father J is here. Father J Masters checking in from Nebraska. Really, huh? Do they uh do they have a sign anywhere that you've noticed? What was Johnny Carson's hometown in Nebraska? I think they have signs placed at various entrances to his hometown in Nebraska. Um, and Are you telling Judy that you're enjoying an adult beverage? Or yes, Father. um, Susan is here. Safati, if you're in the witness protection program, can your family cash in the insurance policy? Well, Susan, as I tell the story, there's no way they would be cool with you staying in the witness protection program if, say, oh, I don't know, in 2011, you wanted to begin a worldwide ministry on YouTube. At that point, you would be going back to bodyguards. You would be going back to bodyguards. The mafia, the regular mafia, has changed so much since then. It's a different world. It's a different world. And who put a lot of those gangsters in jail was Rudy Giuliani. And now he's being persecuted by the prosecutor from Georgia. And roles and decisions that people have played and on behalf of politicians, and certainly when it's your lawyer. Those kind of things have never been challenged before, so this will be an interesting situation, and I hope that the right decision is made. I see it going probably to an appellate court, and eventually to the Supreme Court of the United States. So I don't know how this is all going to work out because, of course, Atlanta, Georgia is just one uh, hurdle for Donald Trump, President Trump, to uh, to overcome. Um, Hello, Richard Lyon. Welcome. Pray for Israel. We're certainly going to talk about that tonight, Richard. I have a video up on it, and hope you're checking that out. Hope other people are checking that out as well. Um, oh, there's Adam Davidson. Well, Adam, it's been a what's that old saying? It's been a dog's life. I think that's close to being one of the sayings that they say. Welcome back, Adam. Nice to have you here. Best wishes from Houston, Texas. That's the heartland. As they say, if we lose Texas, and it could happen, if we lose Texas, well, that's the poker game, everybody. If we lose Texas, Austin is already going in that purple direction, and Houston is showing signs of it. Right, Adam? There's somebody on your council that's very woke, very woke. Look what they did to the attorney general there. They charged him with a bunch of things, and he didn't even get paid. He couldn't do his job. He was just he was then a gag order. I mean, what country is this? And this is Texas. A gag order was imposed on the attorney general. I just saw an interview with him. There's an interview with him. Um, what's his name? If anybody knows it, I'm forgetting it. There's an interview with Tucker Carlson um, on X with the attorney general because he was exonerated of all the charges, got his job back, but he went through hell on earth because of woke people and of all place, Houston, Texas, and Dallas, Texas, and Dallas, Texas. Can you imagine? Both places have problems, or you can see the slide happening, and who would have ever thought that would happen in a conservative state like Texas? I mean, what's next? Alabama? Father is happy sitting in a jacuzzi. Okay, well, I'm glad this is not video, but you'll probably put it up, won't you? Watching the live something bear. Oh, Pooh Bear is happy watching the live, meaning this live, and I appreciate that so much, Jay. My son made it through his orientation for his new truck, for his new company. He'll be delivering for the same set of retail stores, but they have stores that are much closer to his home. And he will be, I guess, headed to El Paso on Monday. He won't be going there all the time. He'll be going to Odessa a lot. El Paso is right near Juarez, Mexico, so that's a little scary for me. Marianne Rossi is here, even though she retracted her message. She thought better of it. Marianne Rossi, not Donna Rossi, is here. And Trump will be fine. Trust. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that tonight, Richard. He's not helping himself, I'll say that much. You know, uh, as the people who love him tell him all the time, including Mike Huckabee, when you sound presidential, when you stick to how you're going to make America great again, that's when you're in your finest, and that's when you can get people that need to come over to your side. Didn't help himself this week. Loose lips sink ships. I just invented that. I just invented that saying. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Barbara Kendall, hi. Barbara Kendall. See, it says Barbara Kendall, and then you say Barbara Kendall, and then we have visited the Department of Redundancy Department, I think. So everybody's saying hi to everybody, and Adam was with us early on. Reminds me, oh, now see, I'm going to have to, so that I don't get too nasally, I'm going to have to back away here. Because I'm still congested, but not too bad, and this time it's just in my head. It's all in my head. Um, yeah, it's better that I did that. Nancy DeMarco, welcome, welcome, welcome. Living on Tulsa time, Nancy is. Glad to see you're on, Jack. Yeah, an hour early. As I say, it's going to vary a little bit. I got some gigs coming up and what have you with the 94-year-old gentleman that's so pleasant. And there are times when I say, gee, there are times when it would have. I've promoted the show 3 days in advance, and I say, "Gee, I'm ready to go on Friday, and Saturday is a little is not not as good for me. Um, I don't want to like I had to leave Karen at about uh, 9 o'clock tonight, to come and finish preparing, and sometime I'll try to get her up here. It's my mission." Molly says she grew up in Houston, Texas. I was born in Odessa, Texas. Yeah, that's where the terminal is, one of the terminals that he'll be um, getting trailers from. I'm 68. That's excuse me, a year older than me. And I live in East Texas now. I don't even recognize the place anymore. You all pray for us here. Yeah, it's happening everywhere. It'll come to Alabama if it hasn't happened already. Now, there was change that needed to be made in Alabama from the 60s, don't get me wrong. Absolutely. We've come a long way, baby. We've come a long way, baby. George Wallace, who was the governor of Alabama, who was a hardcore racist for a long time, had an awakening through Jesus Christ, I believe, had an awakening, and he apologized for that. But when people tell his story and they show him not letting the young black girl go to the school, and he's right there himself, they forget to tell the rest of the story. Remember Paul? Jeez, this is getting scary. Paul Harvey. What a great, wonderful man he was. Paul Harvey. And now the rest of the story. Used to listen to that on the radio um, many, many times. Judy Wright is talking to Marianne. Um, maybe it was Judy. I think I know what you're talking about. And, also very well could have been photoshopped. And I'm not going to elaborate on this topic except to say that I just felt a conviction that even though there's questionable stuff all over, including from the Elvis slash Bob Joyce programmers, I really do have the most respect for Pastor Bob. And so I said, wow, look at this. Well, first I said, look at this. I put this video up with a premiere last night, and it just came out of the uh, box smoking. Um, for me, by within 4 hours, it was over 500 count. The count that you will see is not the actual count. When I go into analytics, I see that it's higher. By 8 or so this morning, when I woke up and I rushed over to the computer because I did feel a strong conviction. I saw that it had gone to over 1,200, over 1,200. So I'm guessing that video could have been a candidate for 30 to 50,000 hits. But that's not mega money, by the way. But it's something, something that I won't be getting in my pocket because I just felt no, no. What was that line I said before? A bridge too far. Not in that I didn't make clear that it could be photoshopped, and that I didn't make clear that as I always do, that I speak of possibilities. I could be wrong, etc., etc. But I have to live with myself. I have to live with myself. Richard Lyon, I know Bob is Elvis, but that picture is photoshopped. Yes, I'm not a master of this by any means, and you know, uh, I'm certainly not Day Richard the Lion King. Hey, I just gave you a name. So it's good to see everybody here. We have 46 watching right now. I'm going to do a weekend review in a little bit, but your topics are welcome as well. What's on your mind? Jay is having fun in the jacuzzi. See, this is Jay's method of birth control, the jacuzzi. Yeah, stay in that jacuzzi long enough, you ain't getting nobody pregnant. You know that, don't you, Jay? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Um, It is all a show. This is scripted. What's scripted? Not me. Trust me, I'm not scripted. You know what I'm scripted because I'm looking down reading it, right? Or I did try to put it on Notepad and read it from the screen in one of the videos, and that worked pretty well. So maybe I'll do that again if I have something that just requires a lot of reading. I'll write what's in there, but you don't want to be looking down. My early videos that started in 2016 were like that. And I did a long video. I've got CNN on. Yes, Richard, CNN. I'm sorry. We talked about this last week. I've watched a lot of Fox News this week. I certainly have. They have put Gutfeld on a vacation for a little bit in terms of his nighttime show. He's on the five. But uh, anytime I was watching CNN, which I didn't want to be doing, and they left the war coverage and they all of a sudden here is Dana Bash, and she's got the woke panel around her. I'm gone within 5 seconds. But I saw some excellent reporting from people like Matthew Chance and Ben Wiedemann, and of course, Mr. Robertson, uh, and Sarah Seidner today on the air while the bombs are flying over her head, and she's asking the crew for her helmet because she's not wearing it. And she's been doing this kind of coverage in various danger zones for years. Now she's more of an anchor, but now she's in Israel, and she's wearing a flag. She's wearing a big scarf with which is clearly identifying her as a supporter of Israel with the Star of David on it. And so that was captivating. Before that, she looked so tired that she was interviewing someone, and it was split screen, and she literally looked like she's just going to fall over asleep. I thought, is she not feeling well, or is she just so exhausted? They try to go in shifts, but even when you're in your hotel, how secure can you feel? How much sleep can you get when it's boom diddy boom? Not just in the nighttime, but sometimes in the daytime. Scary stuff. Scott Baker joins us, Elvis Presley for president. So I'm, still, I watch Fox, and I do watch a little bit of Newsmax. I like Eric Bowling. Some of the times depends on the guest that he has. He goes to the B and C level sometimes. But now Carrie Lake, someone here likes Carrie Lake, I know. Someone that visits here is running for the Senate in Arizona against Simona, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. She's got a lot of fire in her, Carrie Lake, and since she was a news anchor for a long time, she knows how to speak in public. Yes, it's no coincidence. I don't have any kids, Jack. Father knows best. Well, kids are not for everyone. They're just not. And if that's the case, there are women that make that decision. Professional women, no, not those kind of professional women. Jay, get your mind out of the gutter. Get your mind out of the gutter. Let's see here. Da, 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 Uh, oh, we do. We do have a Picture of Congresswoman Tlaib. I wanted to show you a picture of Congresswoman Tlaib. There she is right there. There she is right there. Um, let's see here now. Um, I think that's on. I think that's on Karen's too. Now that I think about it, um, let me see here. Yeah, I think that's on Karen's thread via via texting. Here's Catherine Lee Scott, now 81 years old, from Dark Shadows and from one of the Star Trek, one of the later Star Trek series. And she's been in lots of things. She's guest starred in lots of things. But there she is, vacationing in Italy with the man in her life. Bring it up here. In Italy, I got to talk with Patrick at Lyndhurst Mansion, and he used to work for CBS, and he worked for Bloomberg News as well, and he writes suspenseful thrillers. And Catherine, who you see there, will be at Lyndhurst Mansion next weekend with Marie Wallace, who also starred in three separate roles on Dark Shadows. Catherine did three or four herself, probably four. She was Josette Dupre, and she's going to be there on Saturday and Sunday with Marie Wallace. And there's still tickets available for Sunday. So check it out. They have a morning session and they have an afternoon session. She speaks and answers questions as Marie will. Marie is older. She's well into her 80s now. And they have merchandise that you can purchase and what have you. And they'll take a picture with you, et cetera, et cetera. So if you are anywhere near Tarrytown, New York, this will be the first year that we don't go in the last 2 years. We've been two in a row, but we won't make this year because I am working next weekend and we'll miss it. But it's a delight. Catherine Lee Scott is a wonderful woman. And Dark Shadows that we see on Tubi or see on Prime is fantastic. If you've never watched the series, I bet you could get hooked. You'll be surprised at how attracted you'll be to a show that started in the mid 60s. But I would say start with episode 210. That's the first Barnabas episode. Barnabas Collins, played by Jonathan Frid. Start there, watch it all the way through the series, a few a night, and then watch the first 209 episodes, and you'll have a better appreciation for them, I would say. Yeah, Talib, um, we'll talk about that in the week in review here, but I agree with you. And um, all of the squad members have, you know, proven to be even worse than we thought they were. Um, so it's really, really cool. Yes, Susan, just a fantastic, fantastic show. Carrie Lake for vice president, you say, huh? That's a possibility. That could be the ticket if the ticket happens. And I mean, right now, there's just so much clutter and there's so much. Where's my water? I'm Orders, and this is my world. We sent Johnny out into the street to talk to people to prove how stupid they can be. Johnny does a good job. You like Johnny? Goes down to the beach there. I don't know, Johnny. You always seem to pick these college girls that are wearing next to nothing, and the camera is behind them. What are you doing, Johnny? I mean, what are you doing? What are you telling your cameraman to do here? I mean, it's like it's almost pre-planned. And he'll ask them the most easy questions, and they'll come up with some incredible answers. And these are college students. We are all acting students. We are all acting students in one way or another. I'm going to get you, going to get you one way or another. Oh dear. Oh dear. Um, So I see. By the way, if you haven't checked in here, please do. And if you're watching in the replay, please subscribe and like if you haven't already. We're just a few away. Maybe we've hit it by now. I haven't checked tonight. From 3,700 subscribers, the most we've ever had. A lot of that came from, it comes from the pre recorded videos. That's why I was really bummed to take one down that was on fire. But I did it, and I think I made the right call. There was nothing. I, nothing wrong with it. I wasn't inferring that. Let's say I'll say this much, and then I'll get away from this topic. Let's say that Elvis Presley was still alive. Well, he and Priscilla Presley shared a incredibly tragic event this year. And so they would talk and they would meet and they would have memories to share and what have you. And so I wasn't inferring, even if the picture was real, that it was salacious, that it was salacious in any way. But yeah, I started to get a thing. I started to get the conviction that it was photoshopped. And one more funny part of this story. The premiere is happening at 10 o'clock at night, and at quarter to 10, I'm wrestling and I'm sitting with Karen on the other side of the duplex, and I'm just thinking about what to do. And I decide at about 12 minutes of I bolt from the my recliner and I say, I'm not gonna I'm gonna cancel the premiere. And I come up here to the studio. The computer is not on, and I turn it on, and it says updating. Don't turn off your computer. Now, usually the normal updating process is going to be 3 minutes, and then I got it. And then it took three times that amount. And I'm getting close to the top of the hour. And then it says cleaning the computer. I don't remember it ever saying that. And then it becomes clear to me that I'm not going to make it. So I've got it on my phone here, and I'm watching now the countdown clock. Somebody just beeped their horn. Maybe they're watching us or listening to us as they drive by, and they know they just drove past the virtual church of the disillusioned. And now I identify that. So I'm a few fries short of a happy meal. Anyway, maybe it was supposed to air, but then I continued to feel conviction, and I pulled it this morning, and that's all I want to say about that. Uh, so yeah, Katina and the Waves is here. Katina Swatsworth just popping on to say hello. Well, I came on a little early for you, Katina, because I know you're in the you're like Joseph Kelly, who I don't know if he's here right now. I just see Randy joined us. Um, you're like Joseph Kelly. You got stuff to do on Sunday morning, and many of you go to church, and that's great. That's a worthy excuse, and some have to go to work and what have you. Um, ah, I have dry mouth, and I'm beginning to think I was starting to fear that I had COVID for a short time. Well, for me, when I got COVID, even though I had the shots, it was like bronchitis. It was exactly like bronchitis, which I've already had again, and that was like also a chest cold, chest congestion, but it was bronchitis, I think. It's hard to tell the difference sometimes, but the first one was definitely bronchitis. I mean, it felt exactly like bronchitis, but the COVID test said I was positive, and I know that can be wrong sometimes, but I was starting to fear, gee, I got dry mouth like the gentleman I take care of, and starting to lose my taste. It's been coming back and forth, but that happens with a cold. And so I thought, "Oh, no, don't tell me I have long COVID. Boy, there can be degrees, and the bottom line is the doctors will admit they really don't have that nailed down yet, or even how to treat it. They don't have it nailed down. Karen's doctors, one of her doctors, has it. And he's not, he's still working, but he's not doing that well. He was in the hospital for 3 months, though. They were going to put him on a ventilator, but it didn't look good. And the doctor hit him with everything he could think of to hit him with. He said, I'm not going to let this doctor hit him with everything he could think of to hit him with. He said, I'm not going to let this doctor die. I'm going to, I'm going to find a way. And he hit him with everything but the kitchen sink in his fist. And he came out of it, but he's got long-term symptoms. Has Shell arrived? Hello, Shell from Canada. Just got here. Jack, capital Jack. Hey there, everybody. Glad you're here. Hi, Elvis, says Shell, a mere shell of her former self. Shelley from Canada, the Canadian campaign manager for Donald Trump. Huh. She's already promoting it. So, guess we'll do the weekend review. Richard said something interesting that Susan Safadi is reacting to. I don't see everything in real time. Yeah, I was saying that you when you look into the eyes of Elvis Presley, you know it. And when you look into the eyes of someone who looks similar to Elvis, maybe in the later years of his life, um, you know the difference. You know the difference. Yes, yes, yes. We talk about that in the verdict and Elvis evidence in real time. There's music in that video. There's gospel music in that video, which means it is not a monetized video. They let me do it, but even though the two songs I played were from the 1800s, so what are you gonna do? Can't fight City Hall. I'm very appreciative to YouTube for the worldwide voice. Stephen, um, can't you change that to? Oh, I'm sorry, it's Stephanie. See, these are not really my best glasses. The best glasses are the $1.25 reading glasses. Hi, Jack from Canada. Glad you're here. Me too. You're a Me Too person, huh? Um, hi, Stephanie. You'd have to write that out phonetically because I've got a good chance of blowing that last name, even though it's not that difficult. Yeah. Well, here comes Rose Drops from AU, Australia. Are you from the land down under? Do you know Colin Hay? Are you a Men at Work fan? Do you know the man who starred in Crocodile Dundee? Paul, do you know him? Huh? Welcome. We have a Mark as well. Hello, Mark. I'm looking for your name here. They go by so fast sometimes I don't see it. We have 43 watching right now. And so I always try to acknowledge everybody. Let us know where you're watching from if you think we uh, may not know. Yes, the blood of Christ forgives a multitude of sins. Amen, amen, amen. So, going to do the weekend review and talk about some of the things you've been mentioning already. And if I forget what you mentioned, just say it again. Hit me again, Sam. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Wow, that dropped us down to 36, see? As we get ready to do the weekend review, but there's always the replay crowd. Please share your video. If you can share it on your Facebook page or what have you. You can't share this one because it's too long. I always forget that. The pre-recorded videos, some of them you could, Um, can't always share something that goes well over an hour. In fact, we've already done an hour. Time flies when you're with family from all over the world. Do I have my South Africa people here yet? How about Mike in the UK? I'm pretty sure you're here one way or another. You're here, whether it's live or in the replay, but you're probably here live. And what's Change of Habit? Good Elvis Presley movie. Okay. And it was October the 7th that the horrendous attack on Israel began. You know that. And it took the world by surprise. Unfortunately, it took both Israel and the United States by surprise. Israel prides itself in its intel, and so do we here in America. And yet nobody seemed to know that they had been preparing for this attack for up to 2 years, maybe just like a mile from the Gaza City border. They had training camps, and they even had places where they were learning to parasail, you know, learning to take off and land. And they were expanding their training centers in the later months, and learning how to take hostages, and how they would do that, and planning everything out. And all that was missed, and that's just such a shame. And when you know the history, why don't you have the borderline fully protected, not just with motion detectors and whatever, but you've got to have a unit of people with machine guns right there in shifts. You've got to have them ready to go. And you've got to make sure your missile defense system is up to date. I know that the Iron Dome is doing a pretty good job, but of course, not all the missiles have been deflected. And so all of a sudden, we saw atrocities like we had never seen before happening. And it was like a beyond any horror movie that you would see. And some of the images, a few of the images, were being uh, aired on the various news networks. There's not that many left in terms of, the national news networks. MSNBC proved themselves to be even more disgusting than I thought they were. I have a Brian Williams video up here. Brian Williams had the guts to leave MSNBC. He left for a reason. He left his show, which was a hit show, for a reason. Now he was very liberal. We found out. We especially found that out in the last year or two of the show. He hated Trump. You could see that. But he saw where it was going. He saw that the most woke, uh, non journalistic progressives were going to be overtaking the network, led in the morning by a former Republican, Joe Scarborough, who he and his now wife, Mika, uh, some of their opinions are just how they came to them is unfathomable. Unfathomable. I don't believe that they are okay with Joe Biden like they try to make you believe. But they believe that anybody other than Donald Trump, they became so, and they used to be good buddies, both of them, with Trump, but they became so enmeshed in hatred for Trump, um, that they lost all journalistic integrity, just like many of the anchors on CNN. Many of the anchors on CNN. Tapper is the only one that has shown some regret and is now backpedaling. Anderson Cooper isn't doing that. I don't hear uh, the midday people doing that. Dana Bash doing that. I don't hear that. She took over for John King. It's like, Jake was on Sunday morning, and then Dana eventually took over all that on State of the Union, and then she took over for her former husband, who she has a child with, John King. John has MS, so I don't know how he's doing. Neil Cavuto has MS as well over at Fox and Fox Business. So wow, it was just. It was just horrific to see these images. I mean, what kind of a person can kill babies and uh, set children ablaze, rape children, rape young women, and abduct old senior citizens and what have you. And it was, it's just horrible. And when you look at Gaza City, you don't see people that, for the most part, are pro Hamas. They wish they had never invaded. And I say this in our video about Friday the 13th, and a lot more I say in that video. Um, they never wanted Hamas to invade. They are not fans of Hamas, and these people now with families are being told to evacuate first to the south and now to the east, and where are they supposed to go? And Hamas is in the streets, and they'll kill you. They won't think twice, or they'll take you hostage, perhaps, to prevent you from leaving. And even while they Israel announced a 24-hour window, and while that 24-hour window going on, there's video of an ambulance crew trying to take some injured away, and they are under fire. Uh, so you know, during that, after they made the announcement that there would be a 24-hour window, but it's really hard because they're so diabolical, Hamas, that they will pretty much tape children to missiles, and show pictures of that. This is what's going to happen. We're going to kill the hostages, etc., etc. So, um, you know, this is part of what's going on. And now it looks like the ground invasion um, is going to happen. The latest headline is the Pentagon deploys the second carrier. This is U.S. backing up Israel. Pentagon deploys the second carrier strike group um, to the Middle East. The second ship is on its way to back up the Gerald Ford vessel, which is huge. And so keep Israel in your prayers, but also keep the lay people, the people of Gaza, because they didn't ask for this. They didn't support this. Now, Iran obviously did support it. And finally, after much pressure, Joe Biden, after 6 Democratic senators spoke to him, finally he realized he had to refreeze the money. Thank God he didn't send that $6 billion, because they are definitely involved in funding Hamas in Iran. So these are the times we live in right now. Richard Lyon says, protect your country like it was your home, because it is your home, right? And if they push the button, whether it come from Russia, China, or who knows what Iran really has, and there are other places too, obviously. Um, as the great former Congresswoman from Hawaii says, Tulsi Gabbard, um, Joe Biden will rush to his bunker, but you and I will be melting on the street. Hi, Linda Justice. Hello, everybody. 41 watching right now. Please subscribe and like. I think my congressman, says Judy Wright, should run for speaker. And then you say MTG. What's MTG? Get down with OPP. getting that famous dry mouth. Glad you're here, Linda. Ted Richards joins us as well. Hello, Jack, and everyone from Vermont. What did I miss on the Elvis Bob Joyce front? Well, we showed some pictures of Graceland inside both floors, and just watch the replay. It'll be available the moment we stop talking here. It'll be available in the replay, and please check that out. The better the response is, the more it helps us, and more people get to see the show. Um, oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, she's a spitfire, isn't she? She's on Fox News a lot, and she came into the job speaking too loudly right at the beginning, I think, and you got to learn the job before you can do that. There's a Congresswoman Mace right now that is screwing everything up in the vote, although she said she was going to vote for Jim Jordan for Speaker because she didn't vote for Steve Scalise. And she was one of the 8 that made sure that Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted. For the most part, I like Kevin McCarthy, and those who are saying after how many months has he been in the job, "Oh, you didn't keep your promise to me." Well, you shouldn't have to keep specific promises with a timetable to get somebody to vote for you. It shouldn't be, well, if you give me my wish list, then I'll do that. Um, Congresswoman Mace keeps saying, "Well, my priority is the people in South Carolina." Don't be surprised, Congresswoman Mace, if they're not all too happy with you in South Carolina. It's a great state. And to see 2 weeks out and we still don't have a speaker, and now Jordan doesn't have enough votes to get it. It's a mess, and it could definitely cost in the 2024 election. This could be part of the reason, and the Democrats, really progressives, love to see all this confusion and failure because they will use it to overturn the House back to the Democratic side next year. Do you want that? Do you want that? Do you want Akeem Jeffries to be the speaker? Is it Jeffers or Jeffries? Jeffers to be, right? The speaker. Do you want that? I don't. I'd rather I'd rather have Lucky the Wonder Horse, I think. Lucky the Wonder Horse. Um, well, Jack, it's always been like that. We, the people, always suffer, but we make this country. So stay strong, let them hide. We have pride. Well, they're not hiding too much. I mean, as I said in the Friday the 13th video, pure hatred and anti-Semitism is now in front of your local college. In a protest in front of your local college, so far most of them have been peaceful protests, but we are seeing that the boll weevils have infected the United States of America, and people come to America that hate America, and then they teach their kids to hate America, and they go to these expensive colleges like Hunter and Harvard, not worth 10 cents, in my opinion, not worth 10 cents. And they are, from the time that they can speak, they are told to hate Israel, and it's a bunch of hooey. It's always a land dispute, isn't it? In all these conflicts, it's always a land dispute. And I can't speak, I'm not the voice to speak on that. Uh, like John Hakey could speak on it, for example, someone like him, other people of faith that have spoke on this for a long time. All I know is that there are places that are extremely important to the holy places in Israel that they don't want to lose because Palestine says that's part of our chunk of the land. This has been going on since I was a little kid. I was hearing about the Golan Heights, and I was listening to, Yasser Arafat, and then I was listening to, you know, uh, the various Israeli prime ministers, and this is never ending. This is never ending. The truth is, it's all God's land. We just rent. It's God's land. It's God's land, and uh, we'll close with a little scripture that talks about Israel tonight. A little bit of Psalm 122 and Psalm 124. Um, George Carlin pointed this out when he was talking about all the people that have these wild views about we're going to change the world, and if we don't, the world is going to die, and talking about the crazy extent of the climate change people and what have you. And he said, "Do we really think that soda cans are going to bring the Earth to a halt?" He used that analogy. Of course, we know about carbon and all that, and I'm all for, clean air, but going all electric will send us into a tailspin in terms of electric vehicles, trucks, and cars, and what have you. And people are clearly rejecting it. Anyway, so do we really think that's going to happen? Now, of course, he doesn't believe that the scripture says heaven and earth will pass away, but my word shall never pass away. In George Carlin's mind, it was that the world's forever, earth is forever. I don't necessarily agree with that. Look at the acceleration of the times we live in. But the point was that it's not the earth that's leaving, we'll be the ones leaving. We're the ones leaving the earth. We have an expiration date on this planet. We have an expiration date. Well, I see a name that we saw maybe last week and could have been on a pop on to pop off. Hello, Darla Rawls. Makes me think of Lou Rawls. You'll never find another love like mine. Hello, Darla, from Alabama. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Tell us what's going on. Uh, Darla makes me think of. Wait a minute now. No, the group on the Hillbillies that were on Andy Griffith were the Darlings, right? And there was a attractive blonde girl. Of course, they put that in there. That was one of the Darlings, and her brothers, who were very protective of her. Some of you will know what I speak of because this was around the time of Ernest T. Bass, too. Ernest T. Bass, who actually was a very serious man who directed a number of Andy Griffith's episodes. He was a very smart man. But Darla, who do I know that's Darla? I know. Little Rascals. Thank you, Paul McCreary, not Paul McCartney. Yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right. And I would have never got that, Paul McCreary. I would have never got that. I would have never got that. Hello, Jackie. I think maybe you commented somewhere else, right? Maybe in the email. They all need to go. Well, if they all need to go, who shall we put in their place? How about the psychedelic furs? I would say they should be in there. Another Linda. Hey, Linda Justice. Another Linda Martin from Dolkin. Uh, no, Dothan, Alabama. Yeah, I've heard of Dothan, Alabama. I have. And welcome, Linda. Tell us about yourself. What, what's going on in your neck of the woods? What are your thoughts? We always love to have them. And the replay crowd, you can comment in the comment section here. Most people know to keep it respectful, and we try to keep comments in. And most times, I don't have to delete comments. I finally had to get rid of the person who keeps calling Brother Bob, as she likes to call him, like 12 times in one commentary. Bother Bob, bother Bob, bother Bob, and she's not too fond of me when I speak about Bother Bob. Finally, I had to, enough already. I was patient. I showed some patience there. Hey, Jack. Hey, Big J from the road. Reading your stuff, oh boy, I'm not going to read it now till I preview uh, your content, just like they do on YouTube, right? You have to go through that, don't you? Have you ever been rejected, Jay? I bet you have. I bet you have. I have, because it was copyrighted music, you know. Hey, Jack. Uh, Jay, I want to trust you. You're a fellow YouTube broadcaster, so I will trust that it won't be filthy and that write it up. But I'm believing in you, Jay, knowing that you are like me, a flawed Christian man. Yeah. Uh, Right now, we have 38 watching that I know of. I'm never sure if that's the accurate count because as soon as I complete the video, it'll be much higher, but maybe it's totaling it, you know, from the entire video because sometimes we go 2 hours. And now that we're coming on an hour late on this particular Saturday night, um, who knows, people will be finding us that didn't find us because they didn't know we were on at 10. That's East Coast time for those watching live. Molly asked me who I think would be a good vice president for Trump. I just have a real affection for the senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott. I think he's well spoken. He believes in the Lord Jesus with all his heart. I like that. He has a plan. He knew not to go after Trump because he knows that is, you have to be very careful because everything you say will be used against you and will be used against winning in 2024. So let's talk about the man that Shell, which is Shelley from Canada. She's the campaign president for Canada for Donald Trump. Um, I've already said that I would have no problem voting for Donald Trump again, and that I know he did a lot of good things for this country. And if you compare how things were in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, as to how they are now under Joseph R. Biden, the whole Ukraine thing, for example, I don't think ever would have happened if Trump had won a second term. Think about that. The billions of dollars that we've sent, the incredible bloodshed of Ukrainian people. I'm not completely pro-Ukrainian government. They did have a lot of issues to work on, including President Zelensky himself. There was a Nazi presence there, but it was nothing to do with the hardworking people that got and children that got thrown out of their homes. Some were killed, couldn't make it to Poland or Hungary in time. So I'm with that. I've also expressed support for Ron DeSantis because I think he's a great man, and I don't believe and you have to hate everyone Trump is mad at because he used to like Ron and said some very nice things about him and claims to have helped him become the governor of Florida. Okay, all right, I'm not going to dispute that. I don't know that for sure, but, I like Ron DeSantis a lot, and I would feel best about him going head to head with I'm still not convinced it's Joe Biden. I still think they're going to pull a thing where at the last minute, after all the primaries are over and people have spoken, he's going to say, I realize I can't do this. I just don't have enough left in the tank. And they're going to bring in somebody like either Michelle Obama or the governor of California, and the delegates will just switch their loyalty to the new candidate. And I certainly hope that won't happen. I certainly hope that won't happen. I mean, if Governor Newsom can't run the state of California and is pretty much just sat there while San Francisco is destroyed, Los Angeles isn't much better, and many other places. I mean, when you allow a woke DA to invite crime to your city, that's pretty much what it is, or you know, the various cities in your state. Um, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? We've seen it play out in real time. Big Mike is here, is he? Sometimes I think you see names that I can't see. Maybe they're hiding from me. Is a control they can hit, say, hide from Jack? Yeah, I'm beginning to believe that there is. I don't know. Oh, no, Big Mike. I got you. Okay. I see it now. I stand corrected. All right. I sit corrected. Uh, yeah, I think, Molly, you may be right that at the last moment it'll become Gavin Newsom because he's got great hair and the ladies love him and he speaks well, except he just doesn't deliver. And you know, he's got a, a philosophy that is socialist, headed towards I'll say a small C, a small C. It won't be like the Russian version of communism, but it'll be a small C, and nobody will like it, and nobody will like the fruit that it bears. I don't know why I went into a Massachusetts accent there. My friend Dennis from Boston, um, Big Mike Obama. Oh, I got you. See, I'm slow to the joke, and I usually get that, but I can't when I'm reading and talking and reading and talking. So I shut me mouth sometimes, just uh, read. Um, it's just like when they mentioned the name Oprah Winfrey. I thought, gee, she could win. She could win. Here's a woman who could conceivably be president of the United States and says she doesn't want the job. And she's never run for office. She's never held an office, but they'll say, well, that's the same for the man everybody here likes. Many people here, not everybody, I'm not speaking for everybody. Uh, yeah, uh, you just never know. You just never know. Obviously, you want someone that has held some kind of position. Trump in his first year was learning the job, but he was a quick learner. And pretty soon, well, from day one, he let you know he was going to keep his promises. And when he gets resistance, he keeps going and going and going. And now Joe Biden is going to build what, 200 miles of wall? Is it 20 miles or 200 miles? I always get confused with me numbers. That's probably because I have a fourth grade math level. And AOC is not happy with him. AOC is not happy with him as our country is just, there's no place to put people, maybe upwards of 6 million people. Darla says, I live in a small town in northwest Alabama and I'm a huge Elvis fan. I love listening to you about Bob and Elvis. As I've said before, Darla, that is uh, that is my blessing and my curse, all in the same. Because when I speak outside the topic, if I do a video, as I do all the time, on something like, a little thing like, are we edging close to World War III? That gets under 200 views, and I'm quoting, someone that Tucker interviewed. Got to talk about Tucker. Don't let me forget. Um, uh, so I'm putting all the information together in a short video and talking about what are the chances of World War III, and that gets less than 200 views. And the Bob Joyce slash Elvis, the verdict is going towards 83,000 views. So this is the world I live in. But people seem to enjoy the live, but the live is not, something that necessarily expands the audience that much as a like verdict 2 where we talk about who preached Lisa Marie's private funeral. That's going towards what now? 33,000 views, is it? 33 or 34,000 views. Um, that only not only brings in a little bit of revenue, it gets us more subscribers. From that one video alone, I think we have about 230 plus new subscribers. Just they subscribed after watching that video. I can tell that in the analytics. Oh dear. Yes, yes, yes. Bobby Bowling is here, son of Eric Bowling from Newsmax. Would that be funny if that were true? 81677, a space odyssey. So I think we see an Elvis denier. As long as you do it respectfully, we won't block you from the channel. Just do it respectfully, because this is not the land of the progressives where everybody is supposed to think alike, and follow the program. we're for less government, less government and more personal choice, except in one area. Have to be honest, right? When I say personal choice, we don't believe in the killing of babies. We don't believe. But I notice even Nikki Haley now is for the 15 a week rule. Once you get to partial birth abortion, you have exposed yourself for who you are. And that's all I have to say about that. Fayette, not Fayetteville, huh, Darla? Just a small town in the northwest of Alabama. Fayetteville is in the Carolinas, right? Or is it in Georgia? It's in Georgia. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, feel free not to do that. We don't need to know exactly where you live. But Susan, it's the greatest story. I, the only thing I would say about that, because someone else. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say hi, Randy, properly. Randy from North Carolina, if you're still here, I saw you, and you don't speak a lot, so it slips my mind sometimes. But and now it just slipped my mind what I was gonna the point I was gonna make. Steven said, Jack. Uh, hard to make out that second word. Tour show. I don't know what that second word is. And again, I called you Steven. I don't know why I'm doing that. It's so clearly not Steven. It's Stephanie. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love the name Stephanie. Stephanie Powers. Stephanie Zimberlist. How many Stephanies do we know? Did I know any personally? Steph. Yeah, back in my work days, I think I did. The greatest story ever told, exactly, Richard, was the story of Jesus Christ, who came to this earth to save sinners like you and me. And the greatest entertainment story to me, I would agree with you, is Elvis. And we could put a / Bob Joyce in there because the stories intertwine, even if Elvis passed away in 1977, as I think Bobby might say. And I don't, you know, he's saying, no, the 2001 opening act. Okay. Give me more information because it's real hard to decipher it in real time. Why would so many people? Here's where the heart gets in the way of the word. That's another thing that happens. Don't put a heart, or someone else put the heart. I get it. Somebody liked what you said and blocked a word. Why would as many people something Bob Joyce if he wasn't Elvis? I don't know. Why would they? Um, oh yeah, Tucker. Tucker is not a globalist. He's a America First person. You might want to say an America only person. I don't quite go that far because we have friends that stand with us, and if you don't believe in helping those friends in a time of need, they won't be there for you most likely. I love Tucker too, Shelley. It's not about me not loving Tucker anymore, but when he started talking about the war in Ukraine, I was on the same page with him. They're not a NATO country, and we can't fight that war for them. I don't believe that Putin is going to back down. So it's a real threat that he will go for tactical nuclear weapons at some point because he won't lose, and that will be near the border, near the Polish border. That will drift into Poland, and then we'll be in World War III. And these billions and billions to the Ukraine after his son was on the payroll in the Ukraine. I agree with Tucker on this. This is crazy for us when we're trillions of dollars in debt to do this. Not a NATO country, and um, we can't fight every war for them. Now, Israel is not in any way the same story, but Tucker took the script he had for the Ukraine and just used it for how he feels about supporting Israel. Um, it's a whole different ball of wax. Now, Tucker would say that he's not really a serious Christian. He's an Episcopalian, probably from the liberal wing, and so he would admit to that. He's not someone that can quote the Bible chapter and verse, but he'll study Scripture sometimes, and he'll use it on the air a little bit. Just a little bit. But we know as Christians that we're commanded in the Scripture to support Israel. Full stop. We are commanded. Uh, 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 the Jewish people are the chosen people. Don't ask me about those who don't even accept Jesus as the Messiah, how that works. Um, the scripture indicates that God has many ways we just don't know about, and that in one day, is it 300,000 Jews will accept the Lord Jesus Christ as their personal Savior just in one day? We know the Jews for Jesus organization is huge. And so, uh, we see in the scripture that from the Christian perspective, and I'm not saying that's every American by any means, that we have to stand with Israel, who have been a great ally to us and would support us in every way that they could. And allies are important, and they want to fight the war themselves, but they do need financial help to do this. And we have supported them all along, and I think that's good ground. For the most part, I like uh, the Prime Minister Netanyahu, or Netanyahu, as Wolf Blitzer would say. That's the Israeli pronunciation, I guess. And yeah, I'm all for that. Uh, he's not asking us to, we've had people like Lindsey Graham, who's such a hothead, like Nikki Haley, saying, "Oh, well, let's go bomb the oil fields in Iran." It could come to that. It could come to that, but we're not there yet. So you don't need to be saying it. He's, such a war hawk, and I've agreed with Lindsay on many things, and I like him very much. But people like Lindsay and Nikki Haley would make World War III a lot closer than it may be, and even though it seems like it's a real possibility. Here's someone new, Carol Johnson. Nice, easy to pronounce name there. I was in YouTube today, and there was a statement saying Pastor Bob Joyce was meeting Priscilla. When I pulled the video up, it said private video. Do you know anything about that? Yes, I do, Carol, because that's all me that you're talking about. I have a head cold. Once in a while, I've got to get rid of a little congestion here. So hang in, talk amongst yourselves. Actually, it's in the promo. The explanation is in the promo for this church, Carol, but I am going to be pulling that down. So I'll just give you the quick version. I put that video up last night, and it was a 10 p.m. premiere, East Coast time. And I made very clear in the video that, as always, I'm speaking of possibilities. That a photo that I'm going to show that is making the rounds in the Facebook groups anyway, um, was not something I could verify, and that there was a picture of Priscilla, what appears to be Priscilla, but it was obviously a distorted photo. When people are walking, you're not going to get a clear photo like they're posing. And I don't want to say too much about this, but I made it clear that it could be a photoshopped picture. But I scheduled it for premiere, and then I was thinking about it and thinking about it during the day, knowing that the 10 o'clock hour was coming, and I could also already see there were 8 or 9 people waiting to see it. That gives you a count of how many people are waiting to see it. And about quarter to 10, as I was sitting with my partner, Karen, I thought, I don't know, I'm not feeling right about this. Even though I do the disclaimers and make it clear it's photoshopped, could be photoshopped. Um, I don't know about this one. And so I came up here to try to stop the premiere. And when I did that, uh, the computer told me as I turned it on that uh, updating needed to be done. And I don't know how to get around that at that moment because I'm technologically impaired. And that led to cleaning, which I never see. And I'm watching on my phone, and the countdown clock begins, and the video aired. I kept it up till 8 o'clock this morning. It came out of the gate really uh, on fire for me, on fire. 500 hits within 4 hours by this morning when I took it down in the 8 o'clock East Coast time hour. It was over 1,200 hits. And that's all I have to say about it. I'm not going to share the video privately or what have you. And um, I really have deep affection for the pastor from Benton, Arkansas, and it took me time to think about this. And no one, including Pastor Bob, has ever said they were unsatisfied with my work. Um, Talked to several people in the inner circle, and only one of them was ever nasty to me in any way, was ever demanding to me in any way. And all I wanted from Pastor Bob, and still do, would be a video call if he was unpleased with my work. I said that in 2018 when we began telling this story, and I've said it in many videos since then, like this one now. And I never got that call. So that's all I can tell you. I don't know any other programmers up here that put up all these videos, some using church video a lot, and put up picture videos. I don't know how many of them have made that offer. As far as I know, I'm the only one that I would take it down, my signature topic, my signature topic. So I said that this video probably could have done 30 to 50,000 hits, maybe more. The pre-recorded are always more successful than the live shows. But I said, even though it's hurting me to do it in several different ways, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And I took it down. So that's the story. Kathleen is here. Kathleen Whataburger. She's talking to Shell. And I give other people names. So if you don't like that one, I'll stop using it. But it seems like a good name. I don't go to Whataburger much because we don't have many around here. I think I had it once with my son Corey. Don't remember it being anything special. But those of you, excuse me, I usually lower the microphone volume. Those of you who live near a Culver's, I am envious of you because they have the greatest fish sandwich in the world. It blows McDonald's and Burger King and even Arby's when they have theirs every once in a while. It blows their fish sandwich out of the lake. Out of the lake. I said it right. Remember, it's like Biff and Back to the Future when he tells, well, for example, the older version of himself, why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? And the older version of him hits him and says, it's make like a tree and leave. Make like a tree and leave. You sound like a damn fool when you say it wrong. And now we live in kind of Back to the Future 2 environment, don't we? Courtesy of the 46th president, I believe. Oi, don't get me started. So anyway, I love Tucker, love him, love him, love him, but I don't believe that we should turn our back on Israel because, for one thing, as a Christian, we're commanded to support them. Let's see what's going on here. A commercial on the Communist News Network. Did I say that? There's several nicknames for them. But so I don't think that is true. I don't think you can put the Ukraine and Israel in the same box in any way, shape, or form. But I am a huge fan of Tucker. But can you imagine if he was on Fox News now and he would be the only voice from an anchor that I've heard, unless I've missed something, he would be the only voice saying he didn't support the war in Israel. He didn't support them. It's horrible. The whole thing is horrible. Innocent people on both sides, and we're going to see that in Gaza and in many other parts of Palestinian people that are being caught in the crosshairs, and it's horrible. And it's horrible because the Hamas, of course, they use them as human shields. They use them as human shields. But as the prime minister says, we didn't want this war, but we will finish this war. But then there's a higher power that can tweak it. But God has already let us know that in the last days, which is what I think we live in. I talk about that here at the channel, including in the Friday the 13th video that some people like. Thank you, Shell. I think we're in the last times, and I'm beginning to think you pre-tribulation people are wrong, and we are at the very start, if not a little further in of what the Bible calls the tribulation. I never really took a serious stand on whether I was, and some of you won't know what I'm talking about, whether I was pre-trib, mid-trib, or post-trib. But I think I kind of leaned in the mid-trib area. But I won't. I can't. I can't talk prophecy. It's not my forte, and it's more important than rather than arguing doctrine like that. We, we get in our prayer closet and pray for our country, and then see what God would have us do, what our role is, and maybe deny the flesh a little more than we are. I'm speaking to myself now. Sid Roth, yes, he's been around for a long time, Shelley. He used to be on probably still is on the Christian radio network that I worked for. They used to play his show on the weekend, and he's on a number of channels. TBN, which I don't get anymore. I'd have to find a way to cast it in. I used to watch a lot of TBN back in the day, and other channels, including the Inspiration Network. And yeah, I like him. He's good. I don't know enough about him, but I've listened to him, and he seemed to be Jew for Jesus, right on the money. Need a 7-year peace treaty before anything biblical happens. A 7-year peace treaty. I've certainly heard of that. Yeah, this is why I don't speak too much. So you would say we are not experiencing pre-tribulation. I can't imagine a 7-year peace treaty in this environment. Richard, can you? That would take the Lord Jesus Christ to be at the negotiating table. That would take the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost all working as they do in coordination with each other. They don't have they don't have to vote. They don't have disdain. They don't have what's the word? What's the D word I'm trying to say? They don't have well, disagreement is one D word. They don't have disagreement. They're all united, and they work together. One God in three manifestations is what I believe. Yeah, it's just a guess, Nancy, because I'm seeing things happen. But Richard is making a good point that I have certainly heard. Not a lot of preaching on this, but I know John Hagee has mentioned this, and I'm sure Jack Van Impe, who I used to watch. So I can't speak intelligently on that. But if you have anything more to say about it, Richard, feel free. Just like an Osmond named Marie. Yeah. Yeah. See, when I make an off the cuff statement like that, even though this isn't off the cuff ramblings that we have done, um, I make it clear that I'm just talking about things I'm seeing. Things I'm seeing. Yeah, I used to watch Jack. He knew the scriptures. Of course, he prepared in advance. He knew what questions she was going to throw at him. He didn't hear the question for the first time. It wouldn't be good TV if he didn't know the answer, right? Or if he couldn't think of the particular scripture, and if because he knew a lot of scriptures by heart. If he got forgetful, they would just stop tape. They would stop tape. That's how that works. It's got to be you know, all the way to Moonshiners, which is probably going to debut maybe next week. Is it next week or the week after? I love my Moonshiners. I got a Moonshiners tribute video. By the way, I've never had a sip of moonshine. I just like the people in it. I enjoy it. I've enjoyed it for like 12 seasons now. And when I go off on a tangent like that, I forget my original point. When will I learn that lesson? I I go away from the point that I'm right there with, and I forget the original point. Oh, you're mid-trib. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, could be. I don't really know. Um, I know that that is not what the Lord talks to me about, what my stand should be on the tribulation, whether it's pre, mid, or post. Mike Fortner joins us. Popcorn Sutton. Really? Are you serious, Mike? This is not a joke. You're telling me that is truth? Anybody else hear that? Not that I doubt that, but I did not know that. Hmm. All right. Let me see. Do I have to use my phone? Anybody else use their phone? Um, I certainly hope that's not true. We're talking about Edward Tracy. Edward Tracy from Household of Faith. Popcorn Sutton. I think I know what I just did, Mike. I think I know what I just did. You're talking about the real Popcorn Sutton. Oh, jeez. That's what you're doing, right? And I thought you meant the man I call Popcorn Sutton. Okay, thank God, because even though we have had our disagreements, Popcorn and me, I'm sure if we were to meet, as he wanted us to do, but I think he had an agenda that I was going to have to accept, and things would get real bad for me out there in Benton if I didn't accept it. Probably have to walk back to the airport in Little Rock. Um, yeah, Popcorn Sutton on Moonshiners. They show footage of him every season, sometimes several times. They had a whole storyline about them going to the site where Popcorn used to make the moonshine. Oh, you scared me there. I don't wish death on anybody. Uh, uh, I don't want anybody to be in hell, not even Vladimir Putin. I would like if Vladimir Putin, even like the thief on the cross, said, confessed Christ at the last moment that he would enter the kingdom of heaven. I wouldn't wish hell on the person who murdered my children. Not that they have been. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I don't let that come from my mouth. Uh. Just call me Whataburger instead of, yeah, well, I always worry that I'm going to mispronounce your real name. So you're okay with being Kathleen Whataburger? Okay, as long as I got that right. I mean it affectionately, just like Paul McCreary, not Paul McCartney, and um, Marianne Rossi, not Donna Rossi. Well, I can say Rose Drops as I see your there was a picture that circulated from the Facebook groups, and I will stay out of that. What a burger! I don't know about that being a great burger. Mine was, as I recall, kind of well done, and of course, it all depends on who's on that grill. Now, if you're at Burger King, it's going through a machine. How can you screw that up? It'll be flame broiled and tiny every time. Remember those "Where's the Beef" Wendy's commercials with Clara? Was it Tilson? She'd be screaming at the drive-through when she got her burger at. They want you to think it's Burger King, uh, or a regular size McDonald's hamburger. The small ones. Now, where's the beef? Where's the beef? Because Wendy's burger is bigger and juicier, they would say. Can't be juicy from Burger King. It's going through a machine. But isn't there lettuce and tomato and onion nice and fresh usually? I'm sure not always in every location. I'm not supposed to lift that hand too high because, I got this ICD get down with OPP. I got ICD implanted, and even though I'm way past the 8 weeks, I had to be really careful. I still, I wouldn't be lifting up something heavy with my left hand. And it's not your fault, Mike. I just misunderstood. And if the man I call Popcorn Sutton is watching, I'm so glad to correct that and know that you're still with us. And um, as I've been told by other people that you are well liked at the fellowship, and obviously contribute your talent to the fellowship. And wouldn't it be nice someday if we could break bread together? But first I'd have to take every single video down on the Elvis Bob Joyce topic, and or pledge to do that if I were in Benton, and then I would have to never talk about it again. um, One of Ed's famous Facebook postings makes the rounds on the Facebook groups, and the one with the multicolor background, you expressing something, you know what I'm talking about. So there it is right there. There it is right there. People post that in rebuttal to you. So what can I say? Mr. Monk is here. Hi, you all have a blessed Sunday morning. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Well, please watch the replay, Mr. Monk, in our live section of this channel, and maybe you can comment there and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from. Good night, Mr. Monk. I'm glad you stopped in for a quick hello. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, see, once again, I didn't do it, Shelley. Shell. Anybody watch The Chosen? Why didn't I make time for that this week? Sometimes I'm down on myself and I don't watch then, and that's probably exactly the time I should watch. Um, and Richard Lyon says, Bob asked my wife, do you go to church? We said no. My wife said, we watch you. Then said, do you? He said, we watch you. I think the heart may be, again, blocking a word. Then said, do you get the popcorn? There's that word popcorn again. Oh, boy. But Popcorn Sutton, the real Popcorn Sutton, is, he's been gone for a number of years now, but they show him dancing around his still on Moonshiners every season. In fact, I think he has been in the open most of the time. They've had various opens, but you see him in the open of Moonshiners when they go to their quick little song, which used to be a much longer song. So I'll enjoy that with Tickle and with Digger, Mark and Digger, and the man who was spared death, even though was in a motorcycle accident at Daytona. He had already taped the last episode of Moonshiners that he had to do for last season, then wiped out. No, it was a stock car, right? It was a car, it wasn't a motorcycle. And Josh, talking about Josh from Moonshiners, thank God his life was spared, and he'll be on the new season of Moonshiners. The last I see, he has gotten as far as a walker, because I think he broke both his legs. He broke both his legs. Rosie O'Donnell was in Georgia once, and she went to a fast food place for a hamburger. And she said, I won't say which one it was, but it rhymes with Lendy's. And she got food poisoning. They use fresh meat. That could happen if you're not careful. And so she's in the hospital, and the doctor comes in, and the ER doctor, and he's an older chap, and he looks at her, he says, I know who you are. I know who you are. I couldn't believe it when you broke that man's legs. You took the hammer and you broke that man's legs." And of course, he was confusing her with Kathy Bates, pretending to break James Caan's legs in in oh jeez, this is so scary. What's the name of the movie? Help me out, somebody. That great movie with Kathy Bates and James Caan, who plays a writer, and she's the psychopath who just loves his writing. Green Fried Tomatoes. Is that it? Is that really it? Misery, of course. Henry. That motivated Henry to speak. Yeah, it's another Kathy Bates movie, Kathleen Whataburger. And Kathy Bates is outstanding. It made me think of a funny scene with Kathy Bates. But hi, Henry A. Bradley. How are you? Misery, of course. I've seen it many times. James Caan loves to talk about that movie because he's always asked about it, and Kathy Bates as well. And then we have that movie with Jack Nicholson, which I'm also it wasn't the bucket list, right? With Kathy Bates and Jack Nicholson. And maybe that was Morgan Freeman was in that one too. He's been in more than one Jack Nicholson movie, right? Or maybe wrong. But Jack Nicholson is in the hot tub, and Kathy Bates appears wearing her robe and holding a towel and says she's going to climb into the hot tub with him. She has the hots for the character Jack Nicholson is portraying, and she does. And so we see more of Kathy Bates than we thought we would ever see. I don't know if I've seen all of fried green tomatoes, fried green tomatoes. I've seen some of it, and I liked what I saw. So why didn't I see the whole thing? Maybe I didn't. Don't even remember it. Uh, but that was my first date with my wife. Misery. That's too funny. Now you got me thinking. What was the first date with my wife? And then we have to go to which wife? No, not the witch wife. But which wife? WHICH. Let me just see here. Every time I look over here, it's a commercial because CNN is making a ton of money. And normally I watch Fox News. But late at night, especially Michael Holmes comes on from Atlanta. And, some great field reporters. Some great field reporters. And there's some good ones on Fox, but not as many. They end up telling the story they told yesterday over and over. And CNN does that sometimes too. Henry and Shirley here. Hello, Shirley, here in Arden, North Carolina. Arden, North Carolina. I've been to several cities and towns in the North Carolina because with my second wife, we did festivals and we did um, fairs as well. We did a few festivals in North Carolina, including one there outside the racetrack. It's Henry's birthday today. I see. Happy birthday, Henry. We won't ask how old you are. This is Shirley talking under Henry's heading here. He's still a looker, huh? That's great. Some people, like John Forsythe would be a good example. He stayed good looking to his death. I think John Stamos will as well. Yes, you're Shirley. I got it now. I think this happened before. It's near Asheville. Okay, isn't that where Jim Baker lives, Asheville? I'm not sure if he lives there anymore. I think during PTL times he lived near Asheville, or did he live right there in the area of a place I visited? I crashed Heritage USA after they had long been closed with my second wife, passing no trespassing signs. At that time, I was a peace officer for the city of New York at a homeless shelter. So I was really pretending to be a real cop. I didn't even carry a gun on the job. But I had watched Jim and Tammy, and that's where I saw Mike Murdoch for the first time, and a lot of the people that I would later see on TBN. I just had to see it. So we walked in, and we were hoping we didn't find guard dogs and stuff or police. If we found police, I was hoping when I slowly pulled out my shield from my pocket that they would honor it and not arrest us. But I did see the closed down water slide, the multi-million dollar water slide, and the hotels that had closed. One was still under construction. And the former studio had a hole in the roof, the TV studio. It was I wanted to go into every building. I wanted to never leave, or at least not leave for a long time. Dynasty was good, says Shell. Yes, yes, he was. Is there any more debonair than he pulled off in that? I mean, he was more debonair there, and even Father Knows Best, or well, there was To Rome with Love with William Forsythe. That was what in the 70s, right? But before that, in the 60s, was it Father Knows Best with John Forsythe? Or I'm confusing actors. Was that the other legend? It's just my mind is a muddle. My mind is a muddle. 41 people watching right now. Welcome to the family here. Let us know where you're watching. If you're watching in the replay, hello to you. You can comment here. If you're watching in real time, you can comment here in the live stream. All right. And it wasn't a joke. It was our first date and happily married 33 years. So, well, it's a great movie, isn't it, Richard? I mean, it's incredible performances there. It's something that could really happen. And yeah, we have seen Kathy Bates in so many good roles. She, of course, did the American Horror Story, but I watched season one and watched season two, and it was getting more and more graphic, and the language was getting worse, and it just got more and more sick as it went along. But the actors were first rate in that show, first rate. So I guess it's still going on, but I haven't seen it in a number of years. Father Knows Best was Robert Young. See, I knew that Jimmy maybe, and I knew it was a maybe. Uh, yes, Robert Young, who would later go on, of course, to play Marcus Welby, MD. There's people that actually believe James Brolin, who's done recent interviews here. It's not a hard call. James Brolin, who was very busy in the 70s doing Marcus Welby, MD, as the co star with Robert Young. There are many that think that have said he's Elvis. It just gets so silly after a while. But I bet you people have looked at my work and said, that's just silly. That's just nuts. And I say, no, son Corey, it's not nuts. I really believe this. That's just my family that say that. You know what I mean? It's just my family that says, well, Dad, or well, Jack, it's about time for happy acres for you. Happy acres for you. Every time there's a heart there, it blocks a word. Do you remember the duel Kissing Cousins with Elvis Presley? Oh, thank you. Somehow it got moved or removed. Um, do you remember the duel of Kissing Cousins with Elvis Presley? See, I was never much for the Elvis Presley movies. People think I'm this huge Elvis fan, and I loved his music. I love the older stuff more than I love the newer stuff, although then I'd start to discover all the great new early stuff that I had missed. So it's all great. I understand. But, I've never been to Graceland. I never saw Elvis in person. If I was that much of an Elvis fan, I would not be sitting here saying I never got to see Elvis, but I saw Elton John a half dozen times. I saw Billy Joel a half dozen times. I love the Beatles, but the only one I've ever seen was Ringo Starr. So at the All Star Band. So I guess that tells a story, right? That I never made it. Of course, money was tight back then. I was working at McDonald's and the Plaza Theater, and I had to, pay my mom money and whatever. Hold on, folks. Boy, always feels better after I accomplish that. When you said kissing cousins, I thought of twin cousins in the Patty Duke show. That was hard technology for early work, where Patty Duke would play two roles, her cousin and whatever her character's name was. So I never saw that. No, I think I have heard of it, but I I have to admit, the guy who some would say is the storyteller, the chronological storyteller. Not that I tell every piece. I miss stuff, sometimes, but you remind me, and then maybe I'll do it then. I don't mind getting the this is what was said in this Elvis group from you. It can be very helpful, and then sometimes it can lead me to a bad decision, and that is 100% my fault. When I you know forget how fond I am of the pastor, just because you can do it and you're doing the disclaimer and everything doesn't mean you should. You watch Patty Duke. You did, Shell? Well, I guess we're dating ourselves, aren't we? Which dual role movie do you remember? Uh, Shelley is asking through husband Henry's account, asking the whole community here. Dual role. Yeah. I know there were a lot on TV, but a movie. I'm going to forget some obvious ones, aren't I? There's a few of them out there. I don't know if I can bring that up for my brain in real time as for me. Well, obviously things went really well, Richard Lyon. And when you say James Caan, he's he's featured in the Hugh Hefner specials, in both the one that the Hugh Hefner family produced about the Playboy years, and the ones that those that would say former bunnies, former Playboy centerfolds, etc. There's what some would say was a hit piece from people that said Hugh Hefner wasn't the good guy you thought he was. But in both of those, you see James Caan, because he was a frequent visitor of the Playboy Mansion, and I believe he was one of the actors you. It's hard to say that, right? You say you instead of you. This reminds me of an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I will not refer to any further, but you, yes, um, you still hard, talks about actors that when they would have their big holiday parties, big movie stars like James Caan would try their best to get their filming schedule to work around uh, the party dates so they didn't miss the parties. James Caan is saying how he just loved to come to the Playboy Mansion, and how the everything was perfect. The buffet was perfect. Obviously, the entertainment was perfect. Everything he loved about it, and he went many times. Not as many times as Bill Cosby, though. Oh boy, how did I get started on that, Kathleen Whataburger? Scary movie, Richard. Your wife must have sat close to you. Ah, da, 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 close to you. On the day that you were born, the angels got together and decided to create a dream come true. So I better talk it because I've got no voice left. They sprinkled moon dust in your hair and something about your eyes of china blue. That is why all the girls in town follow you. I'm going to get copyrighted if I don't stop this. So I shall stop. I shall stop. I love scary movies. What is it that we love to be scared? Not Shell. She doesn't love to be scared. Fire in the Sky. That movie scared the hell out of me. It really did. Well, not really totally, apparently. Uh, I Dream of Jeannie did dual role episodes, really, yeah. And yeah, that's a TV, and I have to think about this. Mike, can you put some of that together for a future episode? Mike loves to compare those things. Maybe that's something you would want to do. Maybe it's not. There's a definitive one. Susan, you hit it. Bewitched. Bewitched. Yes. the incredibly talented Elizabeth Montgomery uh, played her and her evil sister. Um, her being Samantha, yeah, and the sister was, I know this. Somebody help me. Uh, who was the when Elizabeth Montgomery would put on the black wig in Bewitched and play her sister? What was the character's name? What was it? Yes, she did play Lizzie Borden to perfection. She played her to perfection, Susan. I saw that movie at least once, and she was doing another movie a little bit later on in her career, and she knew that she wasn't feeling well. And the movie still had like 6 weeks to shoot. And she said, "Well, I'll go to the doctor after the movie," and it didn't help her much because by the time she did get to the doctor, and this could have been true much earlier on, she found out she had stage 4 cancer. And her she didn't want to let people down, so she kept filming when she should have been in the hospital. Just a wonderful, wonderful actress. But she did Lizzie Borden to perfection. She did. And that makes me think of that dovetails into thinking of Christina Ricci. Christina Ricci played Lizzie Borden, didn't she? She she did a mini series. I remember that. Yes, I do. Of course, she was Wednesday in the Adams Family movies with Raul Julia and Jack Nicholson's former girlfriend. Uh, Last name Houston. Oh, more and more in real time. The memory is failing me. Cape Fear 3D movie. And then we saw a nice movie after he Pretty. Uh, so I came in midway through that conversation. So I'm, at a serious loss there. Dr. Evil and Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby, of course, as Austin Powers said that. Dr. Evil was wonderful. Mike Myers is an incredibly talented man. Not the activist, but the actor. Very, very good. Sabrina, thank you, Judy Wright. I feel better now that that you acknowledge that, and of course I knew it, but it was just buried somewhere. Uh, Dick York, the first Darren, and Dick Sargent, the second Darren. Dick York was just racked by back pain, racked. And that probably led to prescription drugs, just like Elvis Presley had to take. And he just had to leave the show. And Dick Sargent wasn't really the first choice. I forget who the first choice was to be the second Darren, but he did a wonderful job as well. He did a wonderful job as well. Well, Oh, I forgot to put the mic up when, I stopped, trying to get rid of some congestion. Thank you for telling me, Susan. I appreciate that. I was just talking about, I was reacting to, a number of people said it, and I missed every one of them because I'm pontificating. Who was the actor that was in the Big Chill? Now it's not going to sound cohesive at all because I was reacting to one of the comments. I was talking about a good movie, and I mentioned Mr. Brooks, Richard Lyon, with uh, with Kevin Costner, and Dane Cook is in that movie. I never realized he for a while Dane Cook was like the number one comedian, but he was an actor as well and was in Mr. Brooks. He was a serial killer wannabe to see what it felt like. So watch that movie. And there's another actor in that movie that I'm trying to think of that passed away that was also in The Big Chill, and he played a news anchor in a movie that was before Anchor Man with Will Farrell. So who was that actor? Gee, I should know that. They say one of the things of having the defibrillator implanted, which I have if you're new to the channel, and I have no symptoms. I feel fine. It's a just in case device. I have cardiomyopathy. I do. They say one of the things is temporary memory loss, but I think, oh, gee, I had some memory loss before that machine came to town. You know what I'm saying? before that, before they sailed that boat, I was already experiencing that. And you can hear me now, though, right? Yeah, we can't hear you. You must be able to hear me now because I put the pot back up. That's what we call it in radio. All right, don't scare me, Kathleen Whataburger. You're scaring me. Or was that somebody else that said that? It was Shell. Turn your volume back up, Shelly. So I'm beginning to think time is standing still here. It seems like it's been the slowest half hour that I've ever done from my time, 12 to 12:30. Pretty soon we'll be turning the clock back because I guess that legislation to keep it the same on the to keep daylight savings in place. I guess they never passed that. They were too busy fighting with each other. Oh, what a let me sit back at this point. I'm running out of water. I don't want to have to go and get the other bottle. You are 5 by 5. What does that mean? Is that a radio term? Like when we used to say, I used to say when I was a peace officer, 40 to police operations 10-100. That meant I needed to go to the little men's room. Larry Hagman played the second Darren on Bewitched. This is somebody new. Let's see, Ruthie. No, I don't remember that. Of course, Larry was in I Dream of Jeannie. Or are you saying that he may have played one or two episodes and then they switched to Dick Sargent? Because I never remember Larry Hagman. He might have been the guy I was thinking of that they tried to get him for the role. They tried to get him for the role. But of course, Larry would make multi millions of dollars playing J.R. Ewing later on. Later on. Um, Dick York was the best. Dick York was the best. Flonase, huh? Susan says. Take some Flonase. I was taking something that is, what do they call it? I can't remember. I have some of the tablets right here. Um, of course, where I took out the pill is where the name of the product is, but it's for people. It's not supposed to make your blood pressure go up. Some of these medicines make your blood pressure go up. I'm on metoprolol. Here's Ben Wiedemann. I wish we could hear him. He's talking from southern Lebanon. Things are happening in Lebanon now. Lebanon is getting involved. It says the IDF and Hezbollah trade fire near the Israeli Lebanese border. Yeah, Hezbollah is getting involved in this, everybody. And what is that going to lead to? Um, Ben Wiedemann's the best, and that's why I could not watch CNN during wartime like this because I would miss him. I'm doing fine, Shelley, for the most part. But Karen has noticed ever since I was intubated and got the ICD implanted, I do seem a little more susceptible to colds. And it was said that when you do get implanted, that you could get bronchitis, and sure enough, I did. So now, after I worked with the older gentleman few weeks ago, I came back home, and shortly after that, I started sneezing and what have you. But it was never the kind of cold, and still isn't the kind of cold where you feel, you have no energy and lifeless and what have you. But it is messing with my sense of taste on and off, and that's scary because then you start thinking that you have long COVID. So tomorrow, just to be sure, I'll take a long COVID test. I mean, I'll take a home COVID test. And of course, there was the slain Reuters journalist, and I think his whole crew. Mourners attend funeral of the slain journalist. Witness say Abdallah killed by rockets fired from the Israel side of the border. That's what they're saying now. You never know where those rockets are going to go sometimes. And you don't want to see the news people. This guy was obviously a wonderful reporter. I don't know anything about the crew. I think he wasn't alone. Sleepy Joe will probably blame the financial crash on the war. The moment Joe Biden assumed office, it seemed like he was determined. First, he screwed with crypto, and he put so many regulations on it and what have you. uh, you know, and it became really hard for the little guy to participate in crypto. There's so many steps now to it, and what have you, even on Robinhood. And I haven't bothered with crypto. And of course, crypto itself nosedived at the beginning of the Biden administration. And then the stocks and what have you, and Wall Street reacting to the decisions that Joe Biden was making because everything he touches seems to turn to crap. Now, I will say that he has been well spoken. Reading the teleprompter, he has been well spoken about the support America has for Israel. He's been taking a lot of flack from the squad and other progressives that we would love to see voted out of office on the Democratic side because they're not Democrats and they don't love America. They have their own agenda. And I would like to see on the Republican side people like Congressman Mace from South Carolina be voted out because, give Kevin McCarthy a chance to keep his promises. He should never have had to agree that he could be voted out easily. You want there to be more steps than a few people turn against you and boom, because that's it's such a tight majority. So I fear now that we could have a Democratic majority in Congress. Forget about winning the Senate. Uh, and so, oh yeah, Shell. Uh, President Trump holds grudges like nobody else. And, whether it be Ron, the sanctimonious, or whatever, he never lets it go. And apparently, I didn't even know this, Benjamin Netanyahu was the first person after Joseph Biden got into office to congratulate him. Trump didn't like that. And he didn't like this and he didn't like that. He got along very well with Netanyahu. So he's doing one of his rallies or whether speaking to a large group of people, as he always does. And he he starts bad mouthing Netanyahu when we're in this crisis time, when a horror show is happening. And he says from the stage, F Netanyahu. Now, that's just so far over the line. And it's not helpful to him because there's going to be more new people that are undecided including Republicans I'm talking about here, and some conservative Democrats that are going to need to vote for him, that if he is allowed to run, if he makes it through all this litigation, he's going to need to convince these people. And saying stuff like that is just over the top. And I don't ever want there to be any presidential candidate that I will condone whatever they do and whatever they say. Uh, he was embarrassing at one of the full gospel prayer breakfasts, going after Hillary, because we know what the Bible says about loving your enemies, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm all for him returning to the presidency, but I understand those who say that we don't want this drama show. We want somebody else, we want somebody else. So that's all I have to say about that. We're just going to have to see how this plays out. We can't afford to lose this election. We need the person who wins the nomination to be able to come against, whether it be Biden or whether it be the governor of California, Newsom, or Michelle Obama. Oh, oi, oi. Night, Judy. Thank you for stopping. We're going to be ending soon, but thank you so much. I've only got so much left with the voice. Good cinematography, motion picture, 1967 movie called The Fearless Vampire Killers. I think that's on Tubi. I think that was a movie suggestion because Karen and I watched Daughters of Darkness today, a 1971 movie. The reason we were drawn to it the first time, this was the second time we watched it, was because the late great John Carlin is the star of that movie. It's a 1971 movie, and he was Willie. He was Willie Loomis on Dark Shadows, and Carl Collins, and maybe somebody else. I can't remember at the moment. But great actor that we love so much. We love John Carlin, who passed away in 2020 at the age of 86. He starred along with several foreign actresses. And it's a pretty compelling movie, for what it is. There's some nudity in it. There is, including from John. I won't do the obvious joke there, but you can put the joke together yourself. And so as soon as that ended, Tubi suggests the next movie. And I think it might have been that movie you just mentioned. USA cannot lose the election. Exactly. Exactly. But you're not willing for it to be anybody other than Trump. So, as Tucker has said, they won the last election, talking about the Democrats, they're pretty sure they can do it again. They got a lot of plans, and I'm not an election denier. An election don't knower. Do I believe there was chicanery in various states? Absolutely, I do. Get Flonase. It helps. This sounds like a commercial, Susan. It helps with post-nasal drip so you don't get pneumonia. I don't want the pneumonia. I really don't. See, you put a scary part to it in there. Yeah. Yeah, things have been lingering a little bit more than usual, but I'm breathing fine and what have you. But yeah, all right. You have made a good point there. That's why I went to the emergency room when I had the chest congestion the last time. And again, I don't usually get sick, so there is something a little different now, but not the kind of illness that wipes you out. So far, so far. Well, 38. Continue to watch. I guess it's the same 38. So okay, Scott. So noted. Look for the movie called The Fearless Vampire Killers. I know it's right here on Tubi. Humanitarian aid piles up in Egypt, unable to reach Gaza. This is a real problem for the people of Gaza that have nowhere to go and are worried about being blown up as they try to get somewhere, and they're dealing with Hamas. And then there's American hostages involved here too. And it is fair, even though the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, wants to fight this war on their own, except with, of course, financial support from us and other countries. But we have, as Jesse Waters pointed out, we have American hostages, and we have the right to go there and try to get them. It's going to be a very tough thing. I think we all know that, right? It's going to be a very tough thing because we're dealing with obvious animals here. We're dealing with obvious animals. Get sunshine and go barefoot in the backyard. Okay. I'm just saying there was some degree of tampering, Richard, that I don't know the degree of. Would it have been enough to overthrow the election since there was quite a separation of votes? I do not know. It's just like in my Christian faith, when I do not know, I don't go on and espouse a doctrine because I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. And, um, the older I get, the, the more I realize how little I know. And that includes with my interpretation of the Bible. Some things are, the doctrines of the faith I feel very secure in, but there are things that are left up for interpretation. You think that McCarthy made bedroom deals? Well, I just don't know. Again, that would be something I don't know. I think that he was trying really hard and that he's a good guy, but already, Susan, they're saying that Jim Jordan doesn't have the votes for Monday. He don't have the votes. And this is just looking like an Adam Schiff show to the country. Oh, and they're going to play this up, the Democrats, those indecisive Republicans. They don't really have a plan. They didn't really have a plan for health care. That's why Obamacare had to be pushed. And now they don't have a plan on they can't even agree on their leadership. And Matt Gates, Matt Gates. I guess he's tried to do some damage repair for his own image, but he's so heavy-handed, and what have you, and they'll put him right on CNN, because they love to see disagreeable Republicans. Disagreeable Republicans. Thank you for that, Shell. I appreciate that. Jay Masters, father needs to lay down. I understand. I'll be doing that soon myself. But Lord knows I don't go to bed early enough. Are you still reading the scripture, Jack? Yes, but not enough. Not enough. I used to do a lot more when I was doing my teaching videos, and certainly when I was on the Christian network. So I have read a lot of scripture, but am I currently reading enough? No, I need to read more. Uh, I need to read more, but that doesn't mean that everybody has a lane. That's why I don't fault Jack Van Impe that his sole lane. Well, there were two things. There was prophecy and leading people to Jesus Christ. I believe he always prayed the prayer of faith at the end. And so, it was dual, but it was mostly one video after another on prophecy. Dale Chance is my father and my savior. What? I should never read these cold. Without him, I'm a man without a plan, unfortunately. Dale Chance. I think I think I know what you're saying there, Jay. I think I know what you're saying. My father left when I was 11, so I never really had him for that long, did I? Obvious statement there. I don't know. Speaker will be very interesting. Shake up things. How can you shake up things more than they already are? It's just a mess. Oh, you had a few beers. I see. Well, that's something they can never accuse me of, because I just don't like it. But well, you have pleasant dreams, Jay Masters. I appreciate you. Appreciate you for stopping by, and all of you. Uh, so, as I said, as much as I love Tucker, I am in support of Israel and backing them up in whatever way they need. I believe that's a commandment of the Scripture and a higher power than than Tucker, of course, is the Lord and His Word. Psalm 22, beginning with verse 6. I read the whole psalm in the Friday the 13th video. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you be secure. May there be peace within your walls and security within your citadels. For the sake of my brothers and friends, I will say, peace be within you. And if we read other scripture, we see, that Israel is the promised land. So we must not just pray, we must put our prayers to action as the Lord leads His way. Psalm 124. If the Lord had not been on our side, let Israel say, if the Lord had not been on our side when men attacked us, when the anger flared, happening right now, against us, they would have swallowed us alive. The flood would have engulfed us. The torrent would have swept over us. The raging waters would have swept us away. Praise be to the Lord who has not let us be torn by their teeth. We have escaped like a bird out of the fowler's snare. The snare has been broken and we have escaped. Now, of course, that's not true for every physical body, is it? But it is true in the eyes of the Lord. It is true that those who are persecuted for the cause of Christ and the innocent children go right into the hands of the Lord. I believe that with all my heart, soul, and mind. So that's one part of 124, Psalm 124, as my Bible presses against the computer screen. So thank you, Kathleen Whataburger. Thank you, Deborah Lake, Richard Lyon, Susan, Deborah, Jay Masters. Earlier we had Randy from North Carolina, Shelley from Canada, Shell, Judy Wright, and we're missing some people. Some of them I know, like Hearts Wild, would come on later, so the early time doesn't really work for them, but I think we'll see perhaps Hearts Wild in the comment section of the replay. Hello, replay crowd. If you're still watching now, you're dedicated. Thank you, Henry and Shirley, for stopping by tonight. And Susan, Safari, and Susie Q, Susie Young, and we have so many Susans, and Molly Van Sickle, Mr. Monk, and all the rest of you guys and girls. I appreciate you stopping in. Worldwide Ramblings. I will do a promo at least a day in advance before the next show. I'm not saying it'll be next Saturday night. It will fluctuate a little bit now, and so will the times, to give more people a chance to see it. But I'm glad. I hope that the replay count is good. You know, it's not. We have had some that went well over 2,000, and some that went over 1,000. I always like to see at least 1,000, and sometimes we make it, and sometimes we don't. Thank you, Kathleen, for those kind words, and have a blessed day. Please keep Israel in prayer. Please keep each other in prayer. And I'll be praying for you guys as I get ready to retire for the night. So pop on to pop off. We could do that at any time. Big God bless you. Good night, everybody.